Hello, welcome into the Equinox altar space. I wanted to come on face forward to say happy Equinox and many blessings to you, whether you are ushering in spring or autumn today. There is the energy of rebirth and renewal on the scene because Aries season is also kicking off today, which is the beginning of the astrological year. So happy New Year. Once again, I know we've had a few of those milestones together here as we ushered in the calendar year, the lunar new year, and now the astrological new year, which is the real new year, because we're back to the beginning here to set out with a degree of perhaps enthusiasm and passion and excitement, where we may start to feel some of those fires kicking up and burning a bit. But we're going to talk a little bit as I'm shuffling. I want to pick a couple cards for us today in these energies and just kind of talk about the little bit of that, what I was calling, like the 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, then 2.5 steps forward at the end of the day. So it's sort of like we feel like we're going forward, then we feel like we've been pulled back, and then ultimately perhaps we inch ahead, but we move forward nonetheless. So we're marching forward here and weathering some significant energies, as we all have been chatting about, whether, we're working together this month for the Empowerment Pack or personal card pulls, or just as you check in with me and let me know how you are faring this month, but specifically this week with some of the energies that came up for our collective card pulls. Today, of course, we have the World coming in, which was that card that talked about really coming full circle to completion, but also kicking off new beginnings, new chapters, and tuning into, I'll show you the one so we remember when I say, how many fox do I have to give? 0 fox, all the fox. This guy coming in here, a little tongue in cheek to say with these curious creatures that in the center of your universe is you. And so we come full circle as the wheel turns, and we're going to take a look here at the altar space and a really fun spread that I enjoy digging into, gardening puns intended. You will see as we talk about it, the 6 positions on this unique spread. If you would like to join me for this spring equinox spread. And as I mentioned, I do also have one for our Southern Hemisphere fam that are a part of our community. So it's totally up to you. Either way, as I say, we are capturing the spirit of the season in really moving and flowing with the cosmic energies as they are bringing forward tremendous opportunities for transformation, while also sort of halting and directing us to pause, to slow down, to go back over, to kind of fine tune before initiation. So I'm going to show you the decks that I've chosen. I love using, continuing with our Curious Creatures theme, we're going to be using another deck that is called the Nature Spirit Tarot, which is also chock full of animal, plant, crystal goodies. And so every card is not just about the tarot and the traditional associations, but also information that connects us in with nature as nature speaks through the signs and symbols. So when you receive one of these equinox readings, you're also learning about a lot of different things in nature, which is fascinating too. So I always enjoy these because I learn so much as well. And then of course we're going to fold in oracle messages, self-care. We also have a really cool trilogy that I'm going to be using to set the tone for the equinox reading, which is going to be the color, crystal, and spirit animal. I believe they're in here as fauna and familiar magic. So we've got some real fun energies to tune into as always, but this is one that I really enjoy, and it is available until April 20th. And along with that, if you are already with me for the April Empowerment Pack that is booking now, or if you would like to join, you can receive this reading for Equinox at 20% off. So it's a little special bonus happy spring gift from me to you if you would like to join me for April, which, if you thought March, March Madness makes way for April, all bets are off. There's so much that we're going to be experiencing and stepping into in this coming month. So it is a tremendous time to utilize our tools for some insight, guidance, and empowerment into this new season that we're stepping into. So I would love to hear from you. Of course, I put the link here or wherever you're seeing this. It may be in the caption. Check that out, but feel free to reach out to me and I'll talk you through how you can book your equinox reading, or if you would like that with the 20% discount, also adding in that April empowerment pack, which you can click right on that link and do it all from there, or reach out and I'll get you set up. So let's turn the camera around and take a look now at what's coming forward for us this spring. Okay, here we go. We are camera down on this beautiful equinox altar space, which I so enjoyed putting together yesterday, just ahead of those energies coming in, with some real intentional elements that are here that I'm going to expand on. The messages, of course, in the equinox reading. And I did infuse the space just before coming on here with some of the healing energy sprays that I chose, specifically the Emerald Renewal and Recovery energy, which I talked about on Sunday for our collective card pulls that are in progress this week with our messages. A beautiful balm for this time for sure. I love to tune into that Emerald Ray for periods of retrograde, certainly here in between this, in the Eclipse Portal, and all the things. So in addition to that, personally, I have been feeling the need to get grounded today and really wanting to connect with the earth, of course. And this is a beautiful day for you to get out into nature. I'm hoping to do that here in just a few. But I wanted to bring in the bronze Earth Star Chakra energy and Archangel Sandalphon to bring in some of that connection at the base of our feet, where we connect with the earth as she is reawakening here in the Northern Hemisphere, as she prepares to release and retreat for the autumn and into winter in the Southern Hemisphere. We have this energy coming in with the bronze ray. So those I've infused in here already. And now I would like to bring in this beautiful Merlin's Woodland Brew, the Nature Spirits Portal Spray. This is just for obvious reasons. I mean, it's just so beautiful and fits in with all of these elements as this energy connects us in with the Ascended Master Merlin, bringing in connection with nature spirits and opening up that portal. And because this eclipse, the equinox is happening over the eclipse portal, it's really creating a thinning of the veil and a connection with spirit that is very enhanced right now. And several of my friends actually, in speaking to them, have been having miraculous encounters with nature and connecting in with energies, seeing all kinds of beautiful shapes and messages within the clouds and the tree bark and fairy energy and so much more, like truly feeling this arrival of these beautiful energies. And the first thing we're going to do here is pull a card from the Seasons of the Witch Ostara Oracle, because of course today also is the pagan celebration of Ostara. And so we talk about that in terms of the wheel, and understanding that this is at the end of that, where this is the last stop of the year, that is bringing in this energy of rebirth and new beginnings. And so this is a gift of letting go of the old and welcoming in the new. So we're going to bring forward these energies in the spirit of alignment, balance, cleansing, fertility, growth, harmony, new beginnings, patience, prosperity, purity, realignment, rebirth, rejuvenation, sacred spaces, self-awareness, and strength as some of those very powerful words that carry energy and intention for what we're tuning into. So let's start there, see what wants to come forward here. And then I'm going to just choose one from each of these three of the decks that I'm using for the equinox reading. I'm going to be throwing in some wild cards there. Like I said, we're going to be choosing cards from these three decks for herbology and garden magic, gemstone and crystal magic, and then fauna and familiar magic. This is such a beautiful set. I'm so excited to get to play with this again. I used it last year if you received the spring equinox reading with me, and we used that as our altar elements to set up those guides for navigating this season ahead. And then personally, you receive 6 tarot cards from this beautiful Nature Spirit Tarot with the intentions from this spread that I'll tell you a little bit about in a moment. And then you also get a message for self-care. And then the wild card, I haven't chosen the deck yet, for your message from your higher self and guides. So with that, let's see what wants to come forward here for us collectively. And whenever you come upon these messages, even if it is after March 20th, at any time is divine timing for you. There's always something in here to tune into. So collectively, we're asking for a message on the equinox from the Seasons of the Witch Oracle. What's coming forward for us today? One card. This card winked at me when I was setting up the altar. I actually showed it in the time lapse because I thought, talk about a mirror image back to what I was literally doing. It's called Creating Altars. Card number 9. May you be reminded of the altar within, where the truth of your magic holds all that you seek. So this is beautiful because it's really, I mean, look, talk about, tarot and oracle energies imitating life. It's a depiction of what we see here. And I know that, with all those words that I just said and using these words such as magic and altar and ritual, and they all carry meaning. They carry the energy that we have given to them as a collective. And so this is all about finding what resonates with you. An altar can be as simple as just a little corner of a table, a surface where you set up some things with intention. Photographs, plants, natural elements, or anything that brings forward for you the symbolism of what it is that you're setting intention with. Candles, of course, all of the bells and whistles and everything woo. It's up to you, right? How you want to bring that forward. But it really is all about where you're coming from with intention when you're creating those spaces. And I know some of you have shown me beautiful spaces that you've set up, whether it's about, seasonally or ancestral connections and more, inner child connecting. All of these things are beautiful ways for you to use tools and create physically in your surroundings with intention. So we'll take a look at this card in the Oracle. Number 9, of course, we're in a 9 universal year, 2025, with that frequency of endings and new beginnings, right? We're culminating chapters and we're launching into the new, but there is sort of a pause and then persevere because we're not there quite yet with that 9 energy. So just another nod to that as well. So it's bringing through this reverence for intention here and using the word transcendence. Transcendence is an existence or experience beyond your physical reality, and that is what an altar is. Your sacred corner of the universe that exists outside space and time when you engage with it. It becomes a vessel for your magic and a place where your prayers can be heard and answered. Support and protection are given freely and your secrets can be kept safe and sound. But you must treat your altar with reverence and respect. To neglect it is to neglect your energy and disconnect from the spiritual powers assigned to aid your journey. This card invites you to become your own altar, creating an inner sanctuary within your heart and soul where you can cultivate your spiritual power. Release the weight of external expectations, even if only for a few moments. Reconnect with your sense of peace and groundedness, allowing your mind the chance to catch up to your spirit. The most profound insights often appear in solitude and quiet reflection. There is deep wisdom within you, offering the answer to your challenge. So yeah, I feel like that's powerful on so many levels because there's been a number of themes coming up in what this beautiful opportunity for review and renewal and recovery is presenting in retrograde. So we have Venus and we have Mercury in retrograde currently, both in Aries. And so that is creating a bit of that friction and that sense of, we're stepping into this very powerful portal and time of change that's sparking, movement and identity shifts and really radical transformations. But yet, right, before we charge ahead, we're getting sort of this call to sort of slow us down and go back over things and refine them. And some of the themes I'm finding big time is about our self-worth at the core. So when we're talking about, looking at this spring equinox spread, it takes a garden analogy in the 6 positions, beginning with the death or passage. What has passed for me in this last season? Then the perennial, what renews for me now? We also have the decay and the fertilizer. How does that passage, what has passed, fertilize what comes next? So, what is passing? How is that fertilizing? What is renewing for me now? And so as we're in this period of going over those things, this card of creating altars is speaking to sort of an intentional way that you can create a physical representation, placeholder, if we will, for all of this energy that's going on inside that we're feeling, that of course is, greeting and meeting with what's going on outside of us. And there's sort of this, cosmic stew going on that's drawing all of this out. So this is a suggestion that I think is pretty cool in terms of viewing your body as your altar. Or it's funny, as I was reading that, I was thinking about the way that, I know when kids have lockers in school, it's a big deal to like decorate your locker or make your space your own, your little patch, your little spot that represents uniquely you and being authentic. And so some of the things that this card is bringing forward in the process of creating altars is really an opportunity, an exercise to get more and more authentic and more sovereign in your ability to say, yes, this is what I like. This is what represents me. This is what's important to me. These are my intentions. And sort of as a badge or as something that you can show to the world proudly, and holding space for that, like taking up space. So I think that's an interesting take on creating an altar and what that might look like and be like for you. And then, as we talk about using all of those things to create fertile ground to plant the new, we also tune into the other 3 positions of this spread to tend and cultivate. How can I best greet and tend to what's renewing for me now? So if we're finding ourselves going back over again, old relationship patterns or dynamics or things that we have been maybe struggling or grappling with, and think about pulling weeds, think about that really stubborn weed or something that's very invasive in a garden that we're sort of, grappling with. Or I know we've had seasons where the deer around here, they love tulips, and we have these beautiful tulips and, you're watching them get ready to bloom and it's so exciting. It looks like we're going to have a good year this year. And you wake up one morning and the tops of every tulip has been bit right off by those deer. And I know my husband researched all kinds of ways to, detract them, like keep them from wanting to come, deterrents, all the way down to, even human urine apparently is something, if you didn't know that deer don't really care for. So my husband has done all kinds of interesting experiments around his altar, which is his, as I've mentioned before, I was talking in the Empowerment Pack this month. He's quite proud of the gardens and the landscaping that he's done here in mixing and matching different native plants and flowers and things. So tending and cultivating whatever's coming up, whatever I'm coming up against, even if it is a pest or something that is detracting from what I'm trying to plant, how can I best tend and greet to it? And then, in that process of the annuals, what do I plant next and start fresh? as I remove and clear out the things that I need to tend to. What's something new that I want to bring in here and start fresh? And then there's this process of the final position to plot and plan. How can I best prepare to ensure it thrives? So then as we move into the season and we persevere, how can I best prepare and ensure that it thrives? So it gives us some guidance through this really beautiful seasonal lens. And so let's take a peek now at the Nature Spirit Tarot, and I'll just flip it over so you can see more than one card. But it's really just so beautiful, and it has so many unique critters and plants and gemstones and things that really weave together beautiful messages through my favorite lens, the tarot, for using as a tool, for connecting in with your own wisdom, your own intuition. And so I would be honored as your guide to take you through with what comes forward in this season for you. And this is where we'll talk through the cards that come up for you and then add in the extra oracle messages that give us some further best guidance and advice as you move through. So let's see one card here for us today, just to wet our whistle as we get into the new season. A collective message for us today here with the Nature Spirit Tarot. So one card for us for a message on the equinox, a day that marks equal amounts of day and night. And wherever we are in the world, we are experiencing it through that unique lens. So what's coming forward for all of us as a collective message? One card, please. And then I will pull us a self-care message as well. So this is the Eight of Wands. And it's funny because I like to say Aries season, with the symbol being the ram. Get your rams in a row, right? It's Aries season. Fire it up. Let's go. Let's do this thing. Let's charge forward. That is the energy of this card. It's the Eight of Wands. It's the fire. It's the spirit of forward moving momentum. And it looks like we're going to be exploring that through perhaps the amethyst crystal here and some plant life. So I'm going to lean into the Nature Spirit Tarot to enhance the messages. But for sure, this may very well be a big part of, the energies you're tapping into today, where, you could be feeling an opportunity to some new beginnings, rebirth, renewal, get going. I know I'm very anxious to make sure that anything in this house that even remotely says, let it snow, be taken down, struck down from the walls. It's time to sort of revamp and turn over some of the seasonal decor and things in the house with a little spring cleaning, open up the windows, those kind of things, which kind of help to light that fire. All the while, again, we need to honor that fire, but don't rush, because urgency and spinning and burning out does not equal alignment, right? It's not aligned just because we line up all those rams. Yes, we want to get those rams in a row, obviously a take on get your ducks in a row, right? Be thinking about these things, right? What renews from what's past for me? How can I utilize those things as fertilizer? What's renewing? What can I plant new? Boom, boom, boom. We're lining up all those rams, and we're being intentional and contemplative about it all the same. So let's take a look. I'm curious to see what we have coming forward with the Eight of Wands. Okay, so it's lavender, of course, along with the crystal tips that I see on there too. So Eight of Wands. So in this card, we show that they're all aligned. Everybody's in a row, right? Pointing downward, and downward movement is indicative of energies that are coming from the divine and moving toward their establishment in the earthly realm. So it's coming in from the cosmos, and then through our philosophical, religious, and spiritual work, we're now experiencing that shift more and more frequently. So the downward alignment also indicates a need to stop for a refreshing pause. You see, it's like, again, those 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, but then ultimately there's forward movement. So it's talking about meditate, reflect, delve into the silence, and allow these forces some time to integrate within us before beginning new activities or resuming old ones. The 8 of Wands is about growth and with much direction from the divine source coming in. Seeking inner direction gives us the opportunity to develop a clearer perspective, to seek higher guidance, surrender to inner callings, and be the observer as personal revelations open to us. As we learn to recognize this flow of energy, we move more deeply into our divinely guided life path. Yeah, so that's beautiful. It's really a perfect card. I mean, we had 78 chances in there to see what was going to come forward from the deck for a collective message here today, the first day of Aries season, the new astrological year, the turning of the wheel. Beautiful. 8. What a beautiful number of abundance and manifestation and infinity. It's really very nice. And now we're going to tune into some of the nature energy that's coming with. So I think that what it's showing me is in the wand suit, everyone depicts some of that purple amethyst crystal as a setting the tone. So the amethyst I'm going to tell you about first is a form of quartz crystal that ranges in color from pale violet to deep purple. It's funny because I was feeling all the purple today. I just had my hair refreshed. If you noticed when I was face forward that I'm wearing purple. I have a purple amulet on today. So it's kind of funny that the amethyst is coming forward. And that's actually the name of the color for my hair. So there you go. Again, the tarot imitating life. One of the most beautiful gems of the quartz family, it has been highly prized since ancient times. It is found in many countries around the world. From this mineral, the Egyptians carved amulets. Oh, it's so funny, I just used that word. Amulets and many other objects that have been found in tombs. Amethyst is believed to give strength during periods of increased activity. It aids with mental clarity and strengthens willpower. It balances the body so that it is more finely tuned, thereby allowing intuition to flow. Amethyst is believed to quiet our self-centered thoughts and allow more profound insights to enter the mind and center the mind. So in addition to the amethyst energy here, and also you can use that to protect and amplify energies too. Many of some of these plants and things that we see here, we see featured is field horsetail and lavender are the 2 plants that are also depicted here. So I'm just going to skim over those to give you a little background to weave into the energies of this card. So the field horsetail is actually quite ancient. It says that it represents a family of plants that began life on Earth 400 million years ago. Before the emergence of flowering plants, horsetails were giants thriving in the prehistoric world. They are often referred to as living fossils. Wow. So it speaks to how our spiritual heritage is as old as humanity. And while we may find that we are in a time where we have collectively traveled quite far from our source, and the return can at times feel rather long and arduous of a journey, horsetail reminds us of the pilgrimage we make. Watching vigilantly from every corner of the planet, the horsetail has seen it all. It counsels us to confide in heaven, achieve a quiet nature, and always take direct action. These are humble commandments from an ancient plant that has never forgotten its connection to the divine and has always remained deeply rooted in its home, our planet. So wow, that's really beautiful. I love this deck, how intentionally she, and it's Jean Marie Herzel, is the illustrator and writer of this deck. She weaves in so beautifully and thoughtfully and contemplatively, like the way in which these speak to the cards that she's woven them into. So now we move into lavender. The lavender wands figure here prominently in the Eight of Wands. As a matter of fact, there's no other characters, just a grouping of 8 parallel wands. I often say about the Eight of Wands is the most consistent card of the tarot, that of all the decks that I have, and you may know that I have a few, oftentimes the Eight of Wands is pretty static. You know, it looks like a series of wands, arrows moving in this downward direction. And it emits sort of the sense of there's a bit of speed and momentum going on, but it looks very similar from deck to deck. So bringing that energy in here with the lavender, it's speaking to the way that this is coming forward as it was initially presented in the Ace of Wands, where we see just one spark, one bit of fire, that idea, that insight, that aha moment, that then, you know, moves through the tarot from Ace to now 8 of Wands, where we have this opportunity to take some action, inspired action. So lavender has many wonderful meanings. So studying this card, or perhaps a field of lavender, remember that this plant represents joy, love, protection, devotion, and purification. It is a cleansing plant, and it is very soothing and renewing. Given the opportunity, we may see lavender plants flowing with the movement of the wind. We may watch the bees as they are drawn to it and as they participate in the dance of pollination. These scenes speak to the energy of the Eight of Wands, which suggests that we return to the source, watch life flow, and give ourselves some time to be renewed and refreshed. Yes, once again, another connection and really confirmation in these energies that we infused in. Renewal and recovery to start things off. I set that intention before I pressed record. We brought this energy in at the top of this week, along with the frequency of hope, with a positive mindset, which of course represent the swords, which we also had on our spread this week with some regularity as we were talking on the Empowerment Sharecast, and I've been sharing on my social media, this opportunity for hope amidst challenging energies such as, you know, the Page of Swords in a challenged position, and the Nine of Swords, the card of fears, worries, anxieties, and nightmare energy. And so we talked just yesterday, Wednesday, about how do you make a positive from something like nightmare energy? And yet, of course there is. It's all about our perspective. And so, you know, the lavender comes in with this soothing, healing property in the midst of times that can feel like they're rapidly changing and shifting, and we can scarcely catch up or get our bearings before there could be something else coming in. And, you know, we sort of arrive here together with the knowing, with the understanding that that is the energy that we're navigating right now. So it's sort of par for the course. It's not to gloss over the challenge, the very real challenges that we're experiencing in doing our darndest to navigate all of the external, over which we have very little control. And yet when we turn our focus inward and we get our rams in a row as to what do I wish to create in my spiritual garden, what do I want it to look like, to feel like, in all of the senses, and every second that I'm putting my energy into that is an opportunity for me to create that momentum then that can go out into the collective. So I love that coming forward to represent this, you know, kicking off the season with a collective message for our contemplation, and we only build from here. So let's finally tune in for a little self-care to go with these two cards. These are double-sided cards. This is the self-care wisdom cards from Cheryl Richardson. And I was bringing those in. So again, if you would like to have an equinox reading, you will receive one of these self-care messages along with your spread and the other oracle cards and goodies that are coming forward from that. So let's see, one card here collectively for us with a little self-care wisdom to wrap up our Equinox Day messages. Ooh, I'm making a little mess. I'm seeing all kinds of self-care. So let's just say, suffice it to say, self-care is needed. And it's varies. It's diverse. We all have different needs. We all have different ways in which, we can feel cared for, and really taking that time out for ourselves. So let's just see what comes up for us collectively, and we'll see how that folds into that message. One card, please. Take from here. Ooh, how Aries. Hearts on fire. I love it. Passion. Yes. Beautiful. Perfect. Hearts on fire. Passion. Light up your life by honoring your deepest desires. Yeah, and I know it could seem overly simplified, but it's like, what do I want? What do I want to experience? And this is part of, some of the guidance. I just put out a newsletter today, and I was sharing, just some of this cosmic weather and what we might expect and how we can best navigate it. And so with this passion energy, we have this opportunity to honor the fire, but not rush. As I said, set clear intentions, because this particular, equinox carries long-term impact along with eclipse. We're talking about setting the tone, setting the field for the next 12 months. So really take a moment in this place, from a heart-centered place, to reevaluate your why. Right? And are you acting from, are your passions and your desired actions coming from your soul or your ego? And this is something too that we'll tune into in the equinox reading, but also we'll be getting into in the month of April for the empowerment pack. We'll be talking about, again, that discernment of checking in with the physical body and seeing how a thought or an action, a thought of taking action, feels in the body, and where it might be coming from as well. Because if we're feeling it from that ego-centric place versus that heart-centered or soul-centered place, there's a differentiation to be made there in terms of, where we're being encouraged to move from. And, spoiler alert, it's from your soul. It's from the heart, not the ego. It has its place, but not where we want to create from. And that's the reminder that, not every fire needs to be chased. Some need to burn out so you can see what remains, what's left when that fire burns out. And so, again, this is happening for us through the lens of relationship right now in this time of retrograde, where these interactions and dynamics with other people and things that are becoming inflamed or irritated or activated through those interactions, or we could even say through lack of interaction with some. And it can be creating or initiating some egoic responses, but it's needed. It's necessary, because it's making us aware of those places where we still have unhealed stuff, or where we may not be honoring our authentic selves. And then, just for contemplation is for you, what are you initiating this Aries season, and what do you want to create, and really just being thoughtful about that. And so, light up your life by honoring your deepest desires. So whether we are creating an intentional altar space, and, as we spoke about that being represented by an actual, physical location, our own body as the altar, or both, and certainly different ways that we can, show. Isn't that funny what's on top? Speak up, because communication, of course, is the other aspect that's challenged with Mercury retrograde. So communication and speaking up and expressing ourselves. And, this is something that I've talked to a number of people and myself that I can say there's a little bit of a push-pull there. Because on one hand, we may have the urge to say something or express something, but on the other hand, we're being pulled back in to reassess something and just sit with it. So we're really having to take a moment, and this is really the key, is that internal compass. Is this coming from my ego, or is it coming from my soul? So that may be something that we'll explore, you know, as I know it will be in my more comprehensive work, but even just here on the Empowerment Sharecast, you know, I would not be surprised to continue to see messages that are bolstering that notion that, you know, really needing to use that detector to really get that direction aligned with the heart, right? You can see that it's all lined up here, that these beautiful 8 wands of lavender and amethyst crystal pointing right at that passionate heart. So it all starts there. Actions that feel right in the heart is the best place to start. So thank you so much for being here. I'm sending you all much love and many seasonal blessings. Again, if you would like to join me for the spring or autumn, and let me give you a closer view of that one as well. Autumn equinox, very similar in the ways in which we're turning over and focusing on where we're going to plant and ultimately harvest energies from. So that is also available. So if you want to join me for that, that link is provided and you can just click that off. I'll be doing those over the next month. So get that in. And then if you want to combine that for a 20% discount, you can join me for the April empowerment readings, which I'm very excited to dive into and much needed because, as I say, a lot of energy building and activating into the next month. So it is a wonderful time to utilize these tools to connect. So thank you all so much. Lots of love. We'll talk soon.